You're not going to have an intimate relationship without having emotional maturity. It's the glue between us, y'all. It's tying us together. It's not just, okay, she look good. Eventually, y'all, we 50 years old. Everything that looks good when you're in your 20s, y'all, stuff starts to droop. Booty start to sag, breasts start to sag, balls start to sag. Okay, that's just how it is. So you're going to have to rely on the emotional connection between the two of you, bridging that emotional intimacy, like I got you, you got me, we in this together. If you're in a relationship with someone who's emotionally immature, you're not going to get any of that. You're going to get a very surface level type relationship to where your relationship is honestly unstable, and anything is going to ruin it because it's not built on anything. So if you want to have that deep down loving connection, and you want your partner to genuinely feel you, and I mean feel you, y'all, it starts with the emotional maturity. It starts with the connection. It starts with us fully understanding each other. Because I want to be a freak. Shit, I want to be hanging off the ceilings. I want to be like, oh, I could do anything and everything for my man, because you know what? My man got my back, girl. He wants a back massage. He wants me to rub his neck. He wants me to do all these things. I'm telling you right now, when a woman is feeling full and she's getting that emotional intimacy, she's feeling safe, she's feeling protected. I'm guarding my partner's feelings. And we both, men and women, we both have to do that. What are some of the signs and symptoms of someone who is emotionally immature? They typically avoid deep, meaningful conversations. They like to blame others. And we know narcissists, they do a lot of that, right? Not everyone who is emotionally immature is a narcissist, but everyone who is a narcissist is emotionally immature and emotionally unavailable. Okay, there's a difference. They blame everyone and everybody for their issues, not taking accountability for their own. They're also very reactive with their emotions. So if you bring up something to them, they're quick to react instead of digesting the information. Then you may get a knee-jerk reaction. And they're constantly making you feel like you're the problem. We know that as gaslighting. The good news is, if you are exhibiting these traits, or if you know someone who's exhibiting these traits, these traits can be improved. You know, I'm always reading and I'm always citing literature and I'm always recommending books. So I have another book that I'm going to recommend. Okay, this is a really good book that I've been reading as well as listening to. It is called The Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents: How to Heal from Distant, Rejecting, or Self-Involved Parents. And it is written by Lindsay Gibson. Yeah, I'll leave a link to this book in the description below. How we were raised by our parents 120% shows up in us as adults. You were taught how to communicate based on your parents. You were taught how to receive feedback, all based on how your parents interacted with you, whether it's your parents or whoever your caregiver was. If your parents never made it a safe space for you to be able to have emotions, to where they were nurturing, caring, and allowed you to just be, you might have grown up with a very protective, highly critical shell, meaning that everything that's coming towards you, or if anybody ever has any feedback or just some input about you, you receive everything as an attack. It's just how someone who is emotionally immature, it's just how their brain is wired to receive that input. It's going in, even though somebody may not be communicating in such a way, but when it's going in, their brains is translating it to mean something else, and it triggers them to react a certain way. What happens when you're dealing or you're in a relationship with somebody who is displaying those types of symptoms? Y'all, the relationship is going to struggle. There's no way that the relationship is not going to struggle. How can you have emotional intimacy with a partner who is completely emotionally withdrawn? That doesn't mean that they don't love you and they don't care about you. That's not what that means. What it means is, when there is time to build that intimacy within a relationship through communication and conversation, they're going to have a hard time connecting with you emotionally, because everything that you're going to say to them, anytime that the relationship might need a little bit of work, they're going to view it as an attack, which will lead to one partner going against the other instead of both partners attacking the issue, right? So it is hard to have a relationship with somebody who is emotionally immature. Then we're going to see the resentment is going to grow in that relationship, especially the person who's constantly trying to communicate, hey, I would really love XYZ. That person is eventually going to grow resentment towards the other person. And ultimately, y'all, there will be no room for growth in the relationship, because you're going to grow tired. You're absolutely going to grow tired. The best thing you could possibly do when you're dealing with emotional immaturity, y'all, you have to spot it early on. I know some of y'all may be in relationships for 20, 30 years by the time you figure out like this is what's going on in your marriage. So if you're just starting to date somebody, y'all been married, typically, again, my audience is 45, 50 and over, and y'all are back out here dating. I'm going to tell you the huge red flags to look out for. Y'all on date number 1, date number 2, okay? If they don't take any accountability, let's say that they're running late and they blame everybody else except to say, you know what, my bad. I should have gotten ready earlier. If there's never an accountability, you got to listen. You got to be very close in listening to what they're saying. If they're never accountable for their actions and it's always somebody else, it is a red flag. It is 100% a red flag. There's this guy on Instagram and I crack up. I literally crack up when he posts this, when he's like, and you're done. And you're blocked. And, he has this long series on identifying red flags early. And a lot of his stuff, I'm not even gonna lie, y'all, is legit and it's true. Learn to pay attention to these red flags, because somebody who's already acting like this on day 2, date 3, date 4, I promise you, you're going to be 10 years in and that person is not going to change unless they are forced to change. And how are they forced to change? They have to want to change themselves. Another thing that we have to do, y'all, and I know we do this because I've done it. You have to stop being the emotionally responsible person. You're always the bigger person. You're always trying to level set. You're always trying to introduce conversations. You're always trying to say, I would really like us to do X, Y, Z. You're always the one leading the conversation of how to bring peace into your relationship. You are not partnering. You are parenting. I have done this more times than not, and I know the feeling. I know the feeling of, okay, I know this is the issue that's keeping us apart. So let's work on this. And if you're the one that's constantly trying, you're the one that's constantly having the conversations, I promise you, it's not going to get better as much as you want it to get better. You want to be in a relationship with somebody who has accountability. You want to be in a relationship with a partner, especially like for me. My children are grown. Whatever relationship I'm in or I enter into, I have no interest in being my partner's parent. He should have got that parenting when he was a child. And if he didn't, it's up to him to get that parenting, learn how to do things and communicate better on his own. Another thing we have to do, we have to set boundaries. You have to set the boundary of, if you're going to communicate to me, with you lashing out, you fussing at me, you're yelling at me, conversation is over. I will not respond to that. And you have to stand strong in that it is not acceptable for you to be fussing at me when I'm just trying to have a conversation. But the thing about setting boundaries is, if you set that boundary, you must stick to it. And if you consistently do it, then I have to consider if I want to even be in a relationship to where this is their go-to in how they communicate, because they have the emotional immaturity. And if this is how they continue to communicate, you have to ask yourself, how many years am I going to be dealing with this? If you teach somebody to ignore your boundaries, then you might as well not have no damn boundaries. You might as well allow them to do whatever and say whatever. But whatever boundaries you set, stick to them. Next, y'all, you got to work on your own triggers. We all have our own triggers. Anytime you give them feedback, they're translating it and they're reacting to a trigger within them. And your trigger might be, oh, they're fussing at me. They're yelling at me. Oh, I'm about to quirk out on this mother sucker. He about to see a side of me that I have healed from. So I have to be in control of my trigger. Before I quirk out, y'all, and before I allow somebody to take me to a place that I have very much so worked from, I'm going to remove myself. If you keep attracting people who are emotionally immature or emotionally unavailable, what is it about you that's attracting it? Are you also emotionally unavailable? And if y'all need help with honoring your boundaries, it's not even honoring your boundaries. If you need help even identifying and standing up and communicating your boundaries, By all means, y'all, I offer coaching. I offer relationship coaching, love and intimacy coaching, because this emotional immaturity, y'all, it is a part of intimacy. Intimacy is just not let me drop my drawers and you lick on this and that. No, that's not just intimacy. This is the first time to my channel, y'all. I'm Vee Mindful. I'm a relationship coach and published author. And on this channel, y'all, we talk about everything related to relationships, from emotional intimacy, from sex to communication, as well as the masculine and feminine imbalance and attachment styles. So the question is, if I'm having this in my relationship, can I fix it? Yeah, the only way that you can fix this in your relationship is if that person who is displaying that emotional immaturity, if they get the help. In order for them to get the help, they have to first see that, hey, something's off within me. They must say, you know what, my partner and I keep having the same conversation. I'm finally going to listen to my partner because she or he is saying the same thing over and over and over again. So there must be something that I need to work on. Or if you've been in relationships before and the feedback that you've been given by other partners sounds very similar to what your partner is saying to you today, then it is absolutely something that you, if you are the emotionally immature person, you absolutely need to consider. Now, if you are not the emotionally immature person and you're in a relationship with someone who lashes out, who's, when I say very reactive, whenever you bring up something, they do knee-jerk reactions. They don't sit there and process it. They're just lashing back at you, or they may dismiss your feelings, or they may say, oh, well, if you think I do this, what do you think? You're Miss Perfect? You're Mr. Perfect? You ain't da-da-da-da-da. If they're displaying signs like that and they don't see anything wrong with it, to answer the question, can I fix it? You're only one half of the equation. You can't fix somebody else. They have to want to fix themselves. I want us to all to be aware of your own mental health. Please hear this point clearly, y'all. If you're in a relationship with someone where you're not getting the love and the support from your partner because you don't feel heard, you don't feel validated, they are not meeting your emotional needs. Every time you bring up something, it turns into a fight. You're apologizing for your feelings. The longer you stay in this dynamic, the sicker you're going to make yourself. Studies have proven that those who cannot communicate their feelings, you are creating within yourself disease and illness. So I ask you, if you're dealing with somebody who refuses to accept accountability, my question to you is, how long are you going to keep dealing with this? Because eventually you're going to make yourself sick. And then who's going to take care of you when that happens? If you've been dealing with this, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let people know, how has this mentally impacted you? In order for us to have that deep down, vulnerable, intimate relationship, y'all, we got to be out here intentionally trying to meet each other's needs. Your wife, your partner, your woman, they cannot meet your needs if their needs are constantly being ignored. She can only do that for a certain amount of time before she checks out. And then her coochie's closed, y'all. She's not going to give you any sex. How can she? She's become a robot because she's feeling empty. My wish to everyone is, y'all, may we all get out here and attract people who genuinely want to be in our lives, who genuinely believe in growth, who genuinely believe in meeting our needs without sacrificing theirs. That is my wish to everyone. Again, thank you for listening to me on my podcast and watching my videos on YouTube. If you like this type of content where we talk directly to the mature crowd, then please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Till next week, y'all, please take care of yourselves.